Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Ball Over Passion. I'm your boy at George V underscore AFC, and we've got Curran here. Mate, how you doing?
All good, buddy. All good. Just preparing for this Southampton game tomorrow. We're talking just off air about their high line and about what their possession shape is because haven't really watched much of Southampton, but we've got a lot of things to discuss. Well, not a lot. We've got about 25 minutes to discuss some injury concerns, some things we can take advantage of them. Hassan Hoodle himself is under pressure, so I think we should just get into it. There's a few talking points to get through.
Well, I mean, firstly, you want to talk about their injuries and who they can't have. I mean, Ainsley Maitland-Niles is unable to feature because he's obviously we are his parent club,
Yeah.
and so when you look at it, you've got Kyle Walker-Peters that is out. You have Romeo Lavia that's out. I know it was shock to some people, but Romeo has moved on. I don't know why people didn't know that, but
Mm.
and then I think I'm missing one more person.
Bella Kotchap.
Belakocha, who's also out, who had a really good start for them too in the back line. So that's some pretty major instability in terms of like a back four. You never want more than two out. You know that kind of is
No.
a struggle. And then when you've got Romeo Lavia, who had and he was so important to them in terms of how they like to press because they do press similar to kind of Leeds in terms of they're a Leeds light, I like to call them. So they do like to crowd kind of the center of the pitch, but without their main starting DM that's been immense at creating that pressure. And also in the back line, Kyle Walker Peters has been so important for providing that kind of thrust for them. I really do struggle to see how Southampton are going to be able to maintain the close distances. And they are very much leads in the sense that they can create chances, but they struggle to finish. And I think they lack a really clinical striker. Armando Broja in this team would have been incredible for them.
Much better. Yeah.
They really lack any kind of channel outlet, and they lack somebody that's consistent in terms of finishing their dinner. So they are leads in a sense that their best work is done with middle third pressure, but I think with all of these injuries, it's going to be a real tough ask for them to really impact the game. And I think you're looking kind of more so at our record at St. Mary's being the big hoodoo in terms of our inconsistency there. It's been, you know, loss, win, loss, win, loss, and now that's a win by pattern of
Yeah.
association. So, um, what do you make of kind of the injuries with Southampton in terms of kind of the impact of what we might see?
I mean, the main one is obviously Lavia. I think his ability to, I think not just the in possession stuff. I think what he does in terms of transition and and running back in transition is quite underrated. For the line they have, they need someone in the middle to really get back and keep winning those duels in case they get broken on because their line is so high. Without him, I don't know. I mean, I think because they have their press is weird. They have a line of three behind a one. It's not like a straight, 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 press. They basically try and have Ward Prowse kind of drift between the lines, and they line up in a kind of a three behind Che Adams. But it's different in terms of their setup. But the thing is, the difference is that they need Lavia to basically man that one behind the three because it's kind of like um, it's a four, but the three are more advanced than Lavia. Lavia is the last line, and then you have the defense. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think they have a huge threat from wide either. I mean, what do you
Well,
think? Do you think
well,
have they have any wingers that really
I, I
can
I
threaten
wouldn't
us?
say I wouldn't say wide because they lack a channel presence, right? But Che
Hmm.
Adams is definitely somebody that's somebody I've liked for quite a while. He's
Yeah,
that real good linker. They just don't have. I guess you could say they never replaced Danny Ings, but they don't have the channel runner to complement Che Adams, who definitely is like a budget Kane in terms of what he likes to do. He's somebody that's a complete kind of center forward that likes to drop in deep. He will be an issue, but I don't think they really have the players to get the ball to him effectively. And then when he
no,
does get the ball and he does look to spin, there really isn't too many people that can provide the stretching that his kind of play really requires. Because if he's going to drop in deep, he's going to need to pass the ball into space, and there's not really many people that are going to latch onto that space for them. And then, Kyle Walker Peters has been so important in terms of his crossing ability. And the threat that he provides for that team. And, I think they may be looking at, James Ward Prowse off free kicks and, set pieces,
corners as well.
loose
Yeah,
corners as well. But other than that, they're going to really struggle to kind of create much, but also finish. That's really been their biggest issue. I mean, going through their team, they still got somebody that I really love, Ibrahima Diallo. All people that know Saliba season know how much I like that boy. But I think for me, when you have a look kind of throughout their team, maybe Gineppo is
Hmm.
potentially the only person that could provide that threat. But again, they are really struggling. They do look to get a lot of their play through midfield and kind of midfield pressures. I think Adam Armstrong is, somebody that hasn't stepped up in the same way
He's
that
all,
they've felt.
he's basically been the workhorse type player that's just and trying to be off the ball, very aggressive and try to press and try to to force turnovers. On the ball, he hasn't really offered much. I don't think his off the ball running hasn't been as good as you'd expect it or want it to be.
Yeah.
It's very much a case of we have to get it to Che, and Che is he's good. He's a decent player. He's a very good player, but is he going to get you? Is he going to trouble a Saliba? Is he going to trouble a Gabriel? Is he going to be something that we really need to go? Hang on a second, this guy could really cause us issues. He's not an excessively physical threat like Antonio. I don't think he's as technically secure as say uh, give me a name, someone, a Salah, for example, or someone like this is not. He doesn't have that aura or that factor about him that really makes him stand out. I think he's a very good player, but he's not on that level. He's
No,
not
well, part of
that.
the problem is they really don't create enough, that they really should be doing. I mean, just in general, having a look at kind of like their last 3 games, they've been creating, less than 1 XG consistently, and they give up more
Mhm.
than 1 XG consistently. So they're just a team
And
that
this is
provide.
without the injuries. This is
Yeah.
remember.
Well, yeah, a lot of people were really excited about Southampton's recruitment in terms of them. They're the second youngest team in the league along with us, right? So
Mhm.
we are both very young teams, but for me, they just didn't add the experience, and I was really worried about Southampton and their ability to compete because I felt I didn't see a killer. I didn't see where the goals were coming from, and it's kind of something that we're seeing right here. Uh, Bazunu is like somebody that everybody's excited about in terms of goalkeeping, but
Mhm.
I feel as though that team and Ralph Hasenhüttl is the spaces that he leaves in the middle of the park means that that team is facing quite a bit of shots. And so while he might be an exciting talent, I just don't know if Southampton are going to carry much threat going forward. Again, I really think that you got to be wary of James Ward-Prowse at any free kick area. If you give up a free kick in and around the area, that is something that Southampton will take advantage of.
Even
Um,
deep, even balls from deep, and then from wide areas, just they can just pump the box and just try and get something that way. But one thing I would say is Bazunu is basically a baptism by fire. You're just basically putting him in line of as many shots. And when people talk about Bazunu, they talk about his ball playing ability, his ability to claim crosses. I think he's one of those more modern goalkeepers that people like to laud these days. But the thing is, I don't know if he's an elite shot stopper at the level that you'd need. Like for example, Fulham have Leno. I mean, you could have Leno in the Southampton team, and it would be a great help because it plays to his strengths in his shot stopping. Because the amount of shots you're going to concede, you need someone that can really keep the ball out the net. And Bazunu, as young as he is, he's going to make mistakes. So it will be interesting to see how he does tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it will be interesting to see, but I mean, more talking about us because I think, from a Southampton perspective, you're facing a very typical 4-4-2. I think they've
Hmm.
altered between a 4-3-3 at some times, but in general, you're gonna see the 4-4-2, and I think Che Adams and, Adam Armstrong are gonna be the 2 up the top that you're gonna really see, and, they're gonna try to keep things tight at the back, especially with their injuries. I would assume that they, even with this decimation of injuries, they would wanna keep the lines tight, and they're not gonna want to expose themselves because they don't carry massive threat. And even if they do get it up the pitch, they're going to be looking for Che Adams to control and work and have Adam Armstrong work hard to maybe pick off balls in a press, right? Like that's going to be their major issue. But from Arsenal's perspective, we had one of the best buildups in the league. And so when you're looking at kind of front two to work together to try to force yourselves into mistakes at the back, it's a long day in reality when you're trying to see that as your only chance creation method. But I think for us, we're going to have to be patient. I think that the spaces are going to be really tight. Ironically, I think it was really good to kind of have our last game in terms of looking at Leeds because this is going to be a Leeds light performance where I think um, I would hope that we're a lot more clinical than we were against PSV, but I can see that game story being very similar, where they're going to try to frustrate, but they lack the outlets that PSV had. And so if they actually had outlets like PSV, then I think it would have been a little bit more of an
Mm,
interesting game because right now we're going to face a low block, we're going to face a lot of shots on target, but I don't know if we're going to be able to break down their low block with as much efficiency as we have in the past because I think Ralph Hasenhüttl will just set up shop to camp in his own half and go from there. For us, I think Martin Odegaard is going to have to be really important in terms of breaking lines. Thomas Partey, and of course Granit Xhaka. Like I think our midfield is going to be super important. I don't know if our wingers are going to have the same space that they've had in previous games to really exploit. So um, I mean, I don't think that you're gonna get a huge thrashing. One thing I will say is I do think that it's gonna be a clean sheet. I'm not on board with people that are thinking this is gonna be a 5-0, purely because when people lose injuries to the extent that Southampton does, and we've even seen it with Arsenal, we tend to close the space. And no matter how bad you are, when you settle into a low block, most teams are able to seriously contend with threats like that. And it's gonna be difficult if you do well in a 4-4-2 to block space. I don't care how good you are. It's going to be very difficult to break down, and it can be really stubborn. So for me, I just have a feeling it's going to be this really itchy game. I do see a 3-0. I don't see a difficult, win. I'm not doubting the win, but I don't see this big thrashing that everyone seems to
mm.
think really. But Curran, how about you, mate? Like, what are you looking in terms of the game state? Like, are you on my terms, or do you think this is just going to be a very easy stroll?
I mean, you're on the exact same lines as what I was going to do in terms of prediction. I was going to go 3-0 as well. Um, I might not now. Let's have a look. But let's have a
You
think.
have to
So
carry the Chris mantle, essentially.
basically, let's have a think here. So I think for me, the major issue will be tempo changing. I think the ability to change tempo through the lines is going to be what helps us in this game in terms of being able to get through build up and get through their press. Which it's not a bad press. They try to press. I think
I
it's a
think
more
it's
of a
poor.
they try they
I think they
try.
leave I think they leave so much space. I've always criticized Ralph
Hmm.
Hasenhüttl's press because I feel that they've relied far too heavily on
It's
big
this
channel
weird
runners in the
three
past.
because they don't know what to do with Ward Prowse, and I feel like they hide him in this three behind Che, and then have their DM lie behind him, and it's weird. It's like they try to cut off the central zones, but then they don't collapse to either side. They just try to stay central and basically block the lanes in centrally, and I don't really get what the point of that is. But what I was going to say is um, to get the ball through the lines, because we're going to build up to this game. It's not going to be a game where you're going to see a lot of Gabriel line breaking switches to Saka or some of this. I think Ramsdale's out ball to Martinelli. We were mentioning off stream. I think you mentioned off stream. Will be a very good opportunity to get the ball out. But in terms of building through the back, this is a game I feel like ESR would have been perfect for. I think this is a game I think he would have really helped with just getting the ball out of the first phase and getting into the final third. But we have Saka to do that. We have Martin Odegaard to do that. Um, the only thing I want to see is what are we going to do at left back? Are we going to go tip Tomiyasu? I would hope we stick it with Tierney. We don't know about Zinchenko. I think
Well, I think with a
hopefully
low
he'll be back
block,
soon.
it's become. I'm going to assume Zinchenko's not fit because just the way that he's been going on, and also it was a 7 to 10 day period last week.
Hmm.
So could he have been rushed for this game potentially? But I have always
There's no
said
point. There's no need to.
no, and I thought PSV next week would be his bounce back game in terms of what he's going to potentially offer, and then he can come back for a following. But Kieran Tierney has to start for me. Like Kieran, like I think this is a big thing. Like when you're looking at going full strength and what we need to do. Of course, we need to go full strength. But for me, Kieran Tierney, especially against the low block, is going to be extremely effective because we're going to need his crossing variety. We're going to need his penetration. And I want Martinelli to be closer to goal. There's no sense having him out at the touchline at this period because you're facing a big low block. So the space is going to be controlled in the center. I'd rather him be a little bit more focused on their center backs and really attack that area. Because I don't know what they're going to do without Kyle Walker Peters. I mean, it's kind of a throwback. Where are they going to put Dario's kind of out of position in the
Mhm.
back there? I
They're gonna have
don't.
to put someone out of position because they don't have any Kyle Walker Peters, so
Well, and they can't put Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well,
they can't
right?
put their
Because
yeah.
again, I think Larios is going to potentially be out of position in the back there. That's probably their next best. Um,
Mhm.
but Again, other than that, I don't know what else we need to attack. I would assume that without Bella Kotchap as well, who's been really formidable in the back line for them, I would hope that you've got our two Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli combining together. I think getting our two forwards together in the box is going to be super important, and I want it to be clinical because the longer that we leave this, the more kind of faith you give Southampton. So for me, I would hope that we start strong and we're able to really get behind and don't let them settle. So I think us transitioning. Normally, I like how we build up quite slowly and we draw the press, but because of their injuries, I just don't feel as though they're going to be as, um, you know, full strength in their press. They're not going to be as high line, in my opinion. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl will tell them to drop deep because they know the danger that we possess. So I hope that we build up quickly, we make decisions quickly to transition as fast as we can, and then we get Kieran Tierney in the back there at left back so that we can force our forwards together to play in tighter spaces and to get them closer to goal. Because for me, it's going to be a difficult watch if we allow them to settle in their 4-4-2 block and just block space. Like
Yeah,
any good team at this level can do that effectively. And with their injuries, I just feel that they're not going to want to press and be on the front foot, even though that they are at home, and they do know that the form that we're coming in with too. So that's another thing to consider. But so Curry, mate, I think we're both going 3-0. Any idea on the scorers? I mean, I've got mine in terms of I think Gabriel Jesus will finally break his duck. I do think Saka had his best game this season.
against
Last
PSV,
time
yeah.
against PSV, and for me, he's like that game was really enlightening in terms of the aura that he's carrying right now. So I really think that he's going to do something special. And then I'm actually going to have a Granit Xhaka goal as well. I just think he can't stop scoring at this point. So for me, I think when we've got him high in that area, I think we're going to be able to get some space in between their center backs, and he's going to find something in there very similar to PSV with a layoff from a Gabriel Jesus. Like I just see that happening. It's been happening all season, but I have a feeling that those are my goal scorers. But for yourself, are you sticking with your 3-0? Or are you going to go
Yeah,
with?
I am gonna stick with the 3-0. I'm going
Are you
Saka.
sure? You
Yeah,
really
yeah,
want
yeah.
to copy?
Yeah, I'm really gonna do what I was going to do. It's just because you have the same thing as me doesn't mean I'm copying. Or I'm sorry, am I a puppet? I don't know about that. I don't know what's going on. But in all jokes aside, 3-0, Saka, Martinelli, and let's go Erdegaard up. Let's show some love to Martin. I think Martin might get one. His performance off the bench, he's releasing a lot quicker. He's doing things a lot better. I think this season he stepped up a bit and he's found that role in that sort of elbow deep midfield role coming into the box, and I think maybe he gets one. So the last thing I want to say before we do, I gave it to George to sign off is just watch for the wide areas because I feel like um the through the lines we'll be quick. I don't know if you want to go Ramsdale to Martinelli or for example Ramsdale to Saka, but with their line and our forwards ability to run out to in on both sides, there's going to be space in behind, and
You
I
just
just
don't want
hope
them to
that
settle fundamentally.
no,
Like,
but I'm just talking about where the chances could be created because I feel like they're going to try. They know that they're in the mud basically right now in terms of
well, they're
what
gonna
their
want to
team is
block
right
the
now.
center,
They're going to
right?
want
Like,
to basically block space and block the ability for us to get out. And
yeah.
if you have that ability to spring from deep, either through the centre backs or through your goalkeeper, I think that's going to cause them out. I would say something like ESR's goal against Aston Villa, something like that, where you have like just a mazy run from deep and then you're just in the corner. So, yeah.
No, yeah, no, I think fundamentally in this game, you just don't want them to settle in their 4-4-2 block again. Like a lot of people talk about a low block, but for them, it's going to be a proper 4-4-2. They're going to block the
Hmm.
center. So I think building quickly is something that we're going to have to change from our previous games. We have built
Just
a little bit
rotations out
slower.
wide as well. Just
Um,
rotations out wide. That's the main thing as well.
Yeah, you're gonna want that. I think just generally in a 4-4-2, there is more space out wide. Like I've talked a lot about this
Hmm.
channel in terms of philosophy, just in general. Naturally what that formation does is it blocks space in the center, especially if you give it time to settle. So for me, you want to exploit quickly. You don't want them to settle. I don't think we need to spend much time in the middle third, and I don't want to move them around as much. I think it'll be quick transitions, be as direct as possible. It's why I didn't quite pick Odegaard to score this game. I think he'll be really important in terms of getting the ball out. But if you're asking for somebody to be direct,
You
I
don't
go
get any points for correct stock scorer, by the way. That's not how this works.
so,
All right.
well, still, there should be, but, I think Granit Xhaka is gonna be super important in this game, and I do think that Kieran Tierney is gonna have a landmark performance. If he does get the opportunity to start, I see no need to have Tomiyasu, especially with this block. It makes the left-hand side static. It doesn't allow for as much rotations in front of it as well. There's no big threat out wide so I see no reason why Gabriel and, Saliba can't deal with the Che Adams and Adam Armstrong duo up top. So I think you can go man for man in that sense and push another body forward. And so that's why I think Kieran's going to be super important. And if we do see Tomiyasu start, I wouldn't be surprised because Mikel's very slow to substitute, but I wouldn't like that at all. I think the crossing variety that Kieran is going to provide is going to be super important to beating kind of this stubborn defense
It's
that,
basically keeping the strength wide. It's our biggest wide outlet strength, as
yeah,
well as a crossing threat.
there's that,
So
and I'd rather carry the threat out with Kieran, but have Martinelli inside because again, if you do have kind of a 4-4-2, what I would like to see is our forwards pull the center backs out of position, and that's how you break down a stubborn block. Like there is
mhm.
space out wide, but generally what you want to do is you want to draw the center backs out of their position to distort the defensive line, and in order to do that, you want tricky kind of forward players that are gonna want to ball carry but also drop deep. And I think if you have Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus close to each other and close to goal, their defensive line is going to be worried about that and they're going to want to step up. And that's what opens gaps in a deep low block, right? Like moving the center back pieces is super important when you're facing a 4-4-2. So for me to do that, I just want Martinelli inside as much as possible. And yeah, look,
I just want
Bukayo.
switches. I want switches. I want to be able to switch the ball because I don't think we switch enough. Especially what I noticed against PSV is they collapse so much. They collapse ball sides so much that we left. They would just leave Saka out on an island by himself, and there was an opportunity for switches across from the left side a lot. Their ability to just just get the ball to our ability to get the ball to the other side. We have the ability to do it with the players to do it, and that's the last thing I promise I'm going to say, George. You can sign out.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a good game. We both have gone with 3-0. Guys in the comments, you let us know what you guys think. I think Lucas got a 2-0 in there, which isn't a bad shout. Look, I hope we do a professional performance. I think it's going to be ugly, but mainly because of what Southampton are going to do. But I don't find us having too much difficulty in terms of getting this win. And we just need to be professional. Look at kind of each game at a time, and then let's move to PSV. Let's get the job done, finish Europa League top of the spot, and then we can kind of move from there and we can slowly start attacking these games because I think once we get to the World Cup, what I don't want to see is kind of any let off the gas. I want us to approach that with a really smart bookend of the season. That starts here with Southampton. Again, inconsistent record at St. Mary's, but I'm not too worried. Given, of course, all the injuries, but narrative would say that is a banana skin waiting to happen. So hope we are a professional. Hope we up the tempo. Don't get frustrated by their low block, and just make sure that we keep playing the ball and be patient enough to work their back line. Once we do those things, I think we'll be well value for a win. So, guys, thank you so much for sticking with us. You can find all the boys' socials down below, of course, at George V_AFC. Current, find him at Current BOP. You can find Chris at CKFTBL and Ball Over Passion here at YouTube, but BOP Footy on Twitter. So, guys, thank you so much. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for all the engagement. The likes really do help us. So, if you do have a chance before you go, please drop the video a like. And of course, hit the bell for notifications to know, in fact, when we do upload. We're going to get that review out for you guys quick. And then we've got PSV coming up. So, the schedule is unrelenting. But thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us. We hope everybody has a good rest of the weekend. Hopefully, we get a nice little draw, max points dropped here with Chelsea United. And I hope everybody else enjoys the rest of their weekend and a big 3-0 win. We're both hoping for it here at BoP. So thank you so much, guys, and we'll sign out. So have a good one, guys. Peace.
Peace.